Hi everyone, and welcome to the Syncretism Society Virtual Academy, and my name is Mehmet. And today's lessons will be the Astrological Decans Part 2. If you already haven't checked out Part 1, I suggest you go and do so, because obviously it's always good to start something from the beginning so you can get a clearer and a more overall understanding of it. But for those who didn't check out last week's one, I'm going to go over it a bit briefly when I show my slides of what I did. And in the last lesson, we concentrated on like the mathematical sum of how we get 36 decans, which is to do with each sign is 30 degrees and it's split into sections of 10 degrees. So each sign has 3 decans. And then if you times that by 12, you get the 36 decans. And there's two main systems that I concentrated on in the last episode, which was the Chaldean system and the more modern triplicity system. And we spoke about the differences, and I'm going to do that once I share my screen and just go through it with you briefly. So what I'm going to do in this lesson is I'm going to talk about what each planet represents within a decan, and then I want to concentrate mainly on the triplicity decans because personally I think that is a better system out of the two. Not to say that the Chaldean system's wrong, because the thing is with astrology is like you have different systems. For example, you have a tropical system or a sidereal system. They're both right, they're just different ways and different techniques of reading things. So by me concentrating on the triplicity system in regards to the decans rather than the Chaldean system, that's personally because I think it makes more sense in relation to, like, if you're a beginner, it will make more sense why particular planets are rulers of particular decans in particular signs, which again, I'll show you once I get my screen up. So without further ado, let's share my screen and then we can get into it. So share screen, I have it already open here. So bear with me for a moment. Let's just move this up slightly. There we go. So yeah, this is the wheel of the zodiac. As you can see in this section here, we have the 12 signs. And as you can see, you have, like I just mentioned, each sign is split into 3 sections. So 1, 2, 3. So this circle here is the Chaldean system. And this circle here is the more modern triplicity system. And like one is based on the order of the planets, which is the Chaldean system, and then the other one is based on the elements of fire, earth, air, and water. So, for example, in Aries, just to give you a quick example, in the triplicity system, someone born in the first 10 degrees of Aries will be an Aries, and their ruler would be the planet ruler would be Mars. So then someone born in the second 10 degrees of Aries would be a Aries Leo, because the second fire sign after Aries is Leo, which is ruled by the sun. So this decan's ruler will be the sun. And then thirdly, this decan's ruler would be Jupiter in the triplicity system, but as you can see here in the Chaldean system, it's Venus. But like I said, I spoke a bit about these two systems more in depth in the first part of this. So I'm going to go over it a bit again once I go through these next couple of slides. But the main system I'm going to concentrate on is the triplicity and the more modern system of the decans. So let me just move on. Bear with me for a moment. So yeah, here we just have it in a table form, what I was just explaining. So yeah, this is the Chaldean traditional system, and this is the triplicity modern system. And as you can see in the Chaldean system, the three Aries decan is Mars, Sun, and Venus. But in the modern triplicity system, it's Mars, Sun, and Jupiter. And obviously I've explained that in the previous video. But personally, like, I just want to show you through this chart as well. Like for example, if we look at Leo in the Chaldean system, the first planetary ruler of the first decan of Leo is Saturn, which to me, again, this is my personal view and how I see it. Again, like I said, each system within astrology, whatever system it is, has its kind of reasoning, if that makes sense. But for those who know astrology, Leo is a fire sign. So, and Saturn obviously is opposing Leo in Aquarius and is a very cold and dry planet. So personally, Saturn being a decan of Leo, to me, obviously, like I said, there's reasoning behind it, but personally, I think that Saturn being a planetary ruler in one of the decans of Leo doesn't make sense to me, because like I said, Saturn in Leo is a very weak placement in your birth chart, because like we said, Leo is cold, Leo is hot and dry, whereas Saturn is cold. So the two energies don't match up. But whereas if you look at the triplicity system in Leo, you have Sun, which makes sense. The Sun rules Leo. Then you have Jupiter, which also makes sense, which is because it's a benefic and it's has a moist humor to it. And then you have Mars, which is hot and dry. So, for example, personally, I think these three decans make much more sense than the Chaldean decans, because the humors of the planet corresponds with the humor of the sign, whereas Saturn to me doesn't really mix with Leo. But again, we're not here to like discriminate. We're just here to show you both, all sorts of system. I will do a video as well on tropical and sidereal further down the line, but I just want to get people familiar with the basics of like the signs, the planets, which we've all done, the decans, and then we can get into like a bit more medical stuff. I've also touched up on some medical stuff in my past video, but I'm going to get deeper into that as we go along as well. So what I'll do is you can pause this and have a look through it yourself, but just to give you like a recap of how both systems work. The traditional system, basically it's the way it works is based on the orbits of the planets. So it goes from the longest to the shortest. And obviously it starts with Mars, because Aries is ruled by Mars. So it goes Mars, Sun, Venus, Mercury, Moon, Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, Sun, Venus, Mercury, Moon, Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, Sun, Venus, Mercury, Moon, Saturn. As you can see, the pattern just repeats. Whereas in the modern system, it's not quite like that. It kind of corresponds with the signs that have the same element. So for example, the first decan of Aries is ruled by Mars, because obviously Aries itself is ruled by Mars. So you could see the first decan of Aries as Aries, and then the second decan of Aries is ruled by the Sun, because then it goes on to the next fire sign, which would be Leo. So then the second decan of Aries will be ruled by Sun and correspond with the energy of Leo. And then the third decan of Aries will correspond with Jupiter and the sign of Sagittarius. So this kind of links up with the elements, and this links up with the order of the planet's orbits through the zodiac. But like I said, I've done a video on that already in the past lesson. So what I'm going to do now is this is a chart where it shows you if your decan is ruled by this particular planet, it will kind of give you certain energies. So that this applies to both systems, both Chaldean and modern triplicity, because obviously the sun is the sun no matter which system it's in. So you can use this for both systems, but ultimately what I'll be doing in the next few videos is concentrating on the triplicity system, and we're going to go by season. So in this video, I'll talk about the decans of Aries, Taurus, and Gemini, and then we'll do spring, summer, and autumn, and just go through it like that. So without further ado, I'll just make this slightly bigger so I can read it more clearly, and we'll go through it. So decan rulership corresponding, synthesizing traditional and modern. Decan ruler, the sun, a more yang approach, promising of personal success, directs personal energy outward, significant experiences in adulthood as pertaining to this area of life, areas of significance, self-actualization, and maturity. So for example, if one of your planets falls in the decan of the sun, it will kind of add these characteristics to it, if that makes sense. So the second planet we'll talk about is the moon. A more yin approach, nurturing, intuitive, and feeling, directs personal energy inward, significant experiences in childhood as pertaining to this area of life, and ties to the past lives or occurred karma. Mercury, more cerebral and expressive when it comes to this area of life, seeking expression, communication, and having your voice heard. Intellectualized experience, seeks to express, speak about, or mentor, teach others with regard to that area of life. Venus, attracts others towards you for support, applies more of a feeling and a sensing approach. Significant experiences in pre-pubescent, adolescence, or young adult years as pertaining to this area of life. Mars, more willful, embodying the warrior archetype, assertive, seeking achievement here. Significant experiences between the ages of 40 and 60 as pertaining to this area of life. Jupiter, luckier, born with better luck, divine blessings here. Fate leans towards success in this area of life. Significant experiences between the ages of 60 and 70 and pertaining to this area of life. Saturn, endowed with pragmatism and common sense, may experience a glass ceiling with regard to this area of life. Strong sense of moral duty and obligations here. Uranus, taking an unconventional path, eccentricity in this area, standing apart from the rest, and outlier, matters revisited that come back into focus in your twilight years of life. Neptune, more creative and intuitive and personal approach to this area of life. And finally, Pluto, an adversary that brings opportunity, curveballs, and crises experienced in the area of life, prompted by destiny lines that compel learning about important karmic lessons so that you may evolve and transcend. So that's just like a quick basic overview of, just say you have a particular planet and it falls in a particular decan of a sign, which is ruled by one of these planets. Like I said, it will kind of give that flavor. It will mix this flavor along with the planet, and then you obviously have to take the sign into consideration. Like I always say, astrology is like spiritual mathematics. It's knowing the intricacies and putting them together and creating a sum, if that makes sense, or creating a particular outcome. So what I'm going to do as well, like for example, while I'm going through like the decans of each sign, we'll like kind of do a bit of commentary on it, just to give you guys an idea of how it would all work. So first we're going to read about the degrees, the first 10 degrees, which is the first decan of, we're going to read about all the degrees of Aries, sorry, let me rephrase that. So first we're going to read about the first decan, second decan, and third decan, and we'll go through each one, and I'll give you kind of a short idea of what it means. So Aries decans, Aries of the first decan, from March the 21st to the 30th, which is from 0 degrees to 10 degrees and is ruled by Mars. So someone born in the first 10 degrees of Aries will be very Aryan, because it's like Aries because it's ruled by the decan is ruled by the planet Mars, and also Aries is ruled by Mars as well. So this will be a very, very strong Aryan presence. But let's read on and it will probably explain that. So the first decan of Aries is influenced by Mars and is in the pioneering and energetic decan above all. Very often, these people are characterized by a childlike innocence, which is quite endearing, and they have a real ability to excite people around them. They want to live in the fullest sense of the word, be it in danger and adventure or through some introspective exploration, always with great enthusiasm. Aries of the second decan, March the 31st to April the 9th, from 10 degrees to 20 degrees, and this decan is ruled by the sun. So this would be an Aries Leo. The second Leo decan of Aries, with rays from the sun, pictures a very noble individual whose principles, aims, and ambitions remain intact in the most trying circumstances. They are single-mindedly focused, yet retain a big picture. Ego can be a problem here, and a general self-righteousness of Aries has acquired a dash of pompousness too. While these are not always apparent traits, there is somewhere quite a reservoir of smugness and self-celebration. So straight away here, you can see if you're born in the first 10 degrees of Aries, you'll be a bit more of a more childish, enthusiastic, energetic Aries. Whereas if you're born in the second decan of Aries, it kind of has a more Leo-y influence, which is a bit like it says is to do with the ego and making yourself known. And it even says here somewhat quite reservoir of smugness and self-celebration, because obviously the sun is about the self as well in the birth chart. So that corresponds with that. So finally, the third Aries of decan, from April the 10th till the 20th, from 20 degrees to 30 degrees, ruled by Jupiter. The third Sagittarius decan of Aries, with rays from Jupiter, is a bold and brash one that is more restless and eager to finish than even the first decan. Here we have the intellectual enthusiasm, and individualism is very strong. This person will do much to avoid becoming a victim of herd mentality. They are very independent and will never succumb completely to demands of the lover or companion. So I think decans are really important, because it kind of, like you get some people, for example, they will say, oh yeah, but if astrology was real, then all Aries would be the same. But no, it's not as simple as that. You have to get a bit more intricate and knowing. So for example, we could just say we could have the same birthday, and for example, you may have just say Aries in the second decan of you may have Venus, for example, in the second decan of Aries, and I may have, for example, just Mercury, just any planet. So both of us will have that sun energy, because the second decan of Aries is related to the sun, but we'll do it in relation to different things. So Mercury will be in relation to communication, whereas Venus is in relation to love, relationships, and pleasure. So also you can see how that decan can play out differently depending on which planet is there as well. So there's so many combinations that you can have. This is why two people of the two signs, or even two people with planets in the same decan, will not be the same, because like I said, it depends on which planet is in that decan as well. So it's not as easy as all Aries are the same and all Scorpios are the same. You have to kind of dig a bit deeper to kind of find the intricacies of it, or if that makes sense. So let's move on now to the decans of Taurus. So Taurus first decan is from April the 21st to the 30th, from 0 degrees Taurus to 10 degrees Taurus, which is ruled by Venus. So the first decan of Taurus, influenced by Venus, produces a very determined, sensual, and stable person. This person is a peacemaker and a lover, yet is very unlikely to be flexible to the values and ideas of others. They excel in any area they can truly make their own, but have trouble adjusting and will not easily find rapid new ways of learning. Sexuality and indulgence of the senses is at the core of this people's life. Well, yeah, that makes total sense, because like I said, for example, when I was talking about Aries, if I had Aries in the second decan of, I keep saying Aries, please excuse me. If I had Venus in the second decan of Aries, it would be about pleasure and love, whereas if I had Mercury, it would be about communication. So again, by knowing what each planet symbolizes, you can see how that will play out. But anyway, enough of me and my interpretations. I'll just read it so we can get on with the video. So May the 1st, Taurus second decan. This will be from May the 1st to May the 10th, and it will be from the 10th degree to the 20th degree, and it'll be ruled by Mercury. The Virgo influenced second decan Taurus people often have a great sense of tact and incredibly fine-tuned sensory apparatus. Careful in speech and in musical voice, they can be quiet charmers, seemingly shy, but unlikely to pass up what they set in their minds to do. There is grace and much more flexibility than Taurians in general. However, they can also bore people with a sometimes overly realistic and pragmatic. And I was laughing because my moon is in the second decan of Taurus. That's why I was laughing. And it was talking about speech and music, which is something I love to do. I love talking. And I also do music in my spare time. I write music and rap. So that definitely, I can correlate with that. And Mercury, the energy of Mercury being in the second decan of Taurus. So the third decan of Taurus is from May the 11th to May the 21st, and is from the degrees of 20 degrees to 30 degrees, and is ruled by Saturn. Saturn's third decan, Taurians, are great builders of their time. They can be stern and sometimes outright boring, but are completely loyal and steady as rocks. Once you get past their somewhat austere exterior, they turn out to be humorous and sensual, with love of good things in life. These Tauruses are some of the most disciplined in all of the zodiac, and typically carry out every task and objective with great prudence and care and patience. So obviously the best thing to do for you to find out how this applies to you is to get your chart up and then check which planet is in which degree of which sign, and then you can see which decan it will apply to. So like, just a quick example, like I said, my moon is in 18 degrees Taurus. So the second decan of Taurus is from 10 degrees to 20 degrees. So my 18 degrees Taurus moon will be within the second decan of Taurus. So this section will apply to me, and then you can go through each one of your planets and see which decan it falls in. So the third and final sign we're going to concentrate in this video is the decans of Gemini. So Gemini first decan is from May the 22nd to May the 31st, and is from 0 degrees to 10 degrees and is ruled by Mercury. The first decan Geminians are observers and curious seekers, always ready to be distracted by a marvelous scenery, an interesting thought, or entertaining conversation. Typically intelligent in a rapid, logical, and detached way, they are still sometimes at loss in applying their fine minds to deeper thought or powerful systematic reasoning. Gemini, second decan, from June the 1st to June the 10th, and from the degrees of 10 degrees to 20 degrees, ruled by Venus. The second Libra decan of Gemini, with rays from Venus, is a curious seeker of beauty and comradeship. They are truly people's people. They will sacrifice much for an hour of great conversation, since they are more likely to become entranced or find value in unexpected things and tend to be least mentally empathetic. They can usually keep themselves at bay and aren't as restless as the first decan Geminians. So again, here it's just showing you how first decan Geminians are totally different to second decan Geminians. The first ones are more of an intellectual kind of Gemini, with Mercury being the ruler, whereas the second decan Gemini is influenced by Venus, which is more about love and partnerships and pleasure. So the third and final one we're going to do in this video will be the third decan of Gemini, which is from June the 11th to June the 21st and is ruled by Uranus. The third decan of Gemini is the most detached and unemotional, yet the humanitarian of all the Gemini decans. These people are great with concepts and ideas and relate to every kind of person easily with their sociable and friendly attitude. They soak up knowledge of every kind and seek a combination of breadth of learning and some personal vision. So again, the reason why the third decan is ruled by Uranus, because it corresponds with Aquarius. So what I'll do, I'll just quickly go through each one, just again to kind of give you an idea of why each decan is ruled by a particular planet. So the first decan of Aries is ruled by Mars and would be someone who is an Aries. And then the second decan of Aries is an Aries Leo, which is ruled by the Sun. And then the third decan of Aries is an Aries Jupiter. Which is ruled by Jupiter. So like I said, each decan corresponds with the same element. So for example, the first decan of Aries is Mars, which is a fire sign. The second decan is ruled by the Sun, which is the Sun rules Leo, which is a fire sign. And the third decan is ruled by Jupiter, which also rules a fire sign, which is Sagittarius. So that's how it works. The correspondences are made by the same signs with the same element. And the same with Taurus. So the first decan of Taurus will be a Taurus ruled by Venus. The second decan will be a Taurus Virgo ruled by Mercury. And then the third decan will be a Taurus Capricorn ruled by Saturn. And then Gemini would be Gemini ruled by Mercury. The second one would be a Gemini Libra ruled by Venus. And the third one would be a Gemini Aquarius ruled by Uranus. So I'm just like kind of giving you an idea of why each one is ruled by a particular planet. So I'll stop sharing my screen. And like I always say in my videos, if I've made anything unclear or I haven't explained something properly, feel free to message me and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. So in the next video, we're going to concentrate on the decans of Cancer, Leo and Virgo. Until that time, peace, love and blessings. I hope you all have a great day. Love, peace.